Happy birthday to David Bell. For those who don't know, he is essentially considered to be the creator of parkour. Now, that's a vast oversimplification. There's many people involved in it, but he's generally the one that gets all the attention for it. And so, like usual, I had this really cool video idea planned of what I was going to do for today, and it didn't happen due to a whole bunch of different reasons. And then I got a little overexcited and I started doing things off camera that I really wanted to do on camera. So I guess we'll do a little bit of it on camera right now. Yeah, basically I have been obsessed with parkour for over a decade at this point, and I am not good at it at all, but I love it. And it's not just the physical movement of it, it's the philosophy behind it. It's like what you see on the surface is these people launching themselves off of rooftops across like I don't even know how wide, 8-foot, 12-foot gap to land on another building, and this looks insane. But what you don't see is the years of training and conditioning and like preparing themselves. You take that same gap, you measure it, and you go down on the ground and you measure out that same gap on the ground where there's zero risk, and you drill it over and over until you're 1,000% confident that you can make it. And then you take that exact same thing and you go 10 stories up, and then it's no longer a matter of can you physically do it. It becomes a mental game. Like, you know you can do it. You do the exact same thing on the ground and you can get it 1,000 times out of 1,000. It's no problem. You do it 10 stories up, should be no problem, but the mind messes with you. And that's what I love about parkour, is not in and of itself, but how that applies to everything else in life too. How you can take a problem and break it down and train yourself to the point where you know you can handle it when you encounter that scenario. So David Bell is like considered the creator of parkour, but I personally consider Storer to be like the saviors of parkour. So I totally forgot about parkour for years. I thought it was a fluke, it was a fad, and it died. And I was super sad about that because I loved it so much. And then I just never saw it or anyone doing it or posting videos about it or anything. It just kind of died. What I didn't realize is it was still happening. It just wasn't showing up in my feed because I started watching other things, and then like all the platforms stopped recommending that content to me because I was watching this other content, but I wanted both. And I don't remember when, if it was in 2020 or 2021, but I rediscovered parkour and found out that it is still flourishing. It is still totally a thing. It has a community behind it. There are people still posting content about it. There are people out there still doing it. I was just oblivious to that for years. So this was so exciting to discover Storer. They are a parkour team out of Europe, England, Brighton, I think. I forget exactly where. Somewhere over there. And they're awesome. And their most recent video was terrifying. It wasn't parkour at all, really. It was them just... So they do primarily parkour, but they also do not parkour. They got in quicksand, like real quicksand, and just allowed themselves to sink, and then like got their way out. And yeah, they had ropes and stuff, but they could have been a little safer about it. Like, they could have actually died. Some of them were legitimately concerned, as was I, as I was watching this. And I realized something today, actually. So this also happens a lot, where I have like a great video idea of what I'm going to do for this day or this thing or whatever, and then I kind of don't do it, and then the day of, I have a realization like, yes, that's what I need the video to be about. And the realization I had is that depression is like quicksand. And parkour, for me, has always been one of those things that gets me so excited that it can temporarily kind of pull me out of my depression. And yeah, depression is like quicksand in the way that if you struggle, if you fight, it's going to fight back. And you will not get out. It will drag you down. The only way out is calmly and carefully and slowly. So like a better explanation, or more thorough explanation of that is quicksand is a non-Newtonian fluid. Basically means if you hit it hard, it kicks back hard and it feels like a solid surface. But if you hit it softly, if you just like slowly go into it, you can just go right into it as if it's a liquid. So you can just run across it because you're hitting the ground and it'll hit back and it'll be solid and you can just run across the stuff. But if you stand there and don't move, you will just slowly sink. And so the only way to avoid ending up in depression in the first place is you got to keep at it. You got to keep doing whatever it is that makes you happy. For me, it's all kinds of things. It's videos, it's parkour, it's all kinds of things. But once you're in it, the method changes completely. To prevent yourself from getting into it, you got to keep moving. But once you're in it, you got to stop moving. Because if you keep moving, it's going to kick back and you're just going to stay stuck. And so you have to relax and just slowly pull yourself out. And then you can push hard here while keeping the rest of this relaxed and just get yourself out of it. I'm probably not explaining this perfectly because I've never actually experienced it, nor do I want to. But yeah, that was to me a really, really good metaphor. And so this was the great idea I had of what I was going to do for this video. Storer, if you're watching this, I highly doubt it, but if you're watching this, get your fucking bucket hats back in stock. They've been out of stock for how long? I don't even know how long. But I'm making my own. But I had a coworker use their Cricut machine and they made me a whole bunch of these things. And I'm making my own bootleg knockoff Storer hat. I used all the backwards logos on the back. No, the video's flipped. So right now, to me, this looks correct, but now it's backwards. I don't know which way it's going to be for you. This is the one that's the correct way, but to me on the screen, it looks backwards, but in here it looks, oh God. Got some on the top. I have another one here I'm going to put on the side. But this is the part of me getting too excited and like doing all of this off camera when I wanted to make a video of making the thing, or at least have some B-roll of that. The one thing I really wish I would have gotten is this is like an old iron. I don't know how old this thing is. I got it from my grandma. I had this thing turned up too high because there's no temperature gauge on this thing. I don't know what to do. So I Googled like, what temperature should I put this on at? And then I'm looking at like the different fabrics on here. Sheer fabrics, acetates, acrylics, lightweight fabrics, silk, rayon, nylon, medium weight fabrics, polyesters, permanent pressed cotton blends, wool, cotton, linen, steam, blah, blah. And I'm Googling like, what temperature ranges do I do for what fabrics, and trying to figure out where on this dial is going to be the right temperature needed for this. Sorry, I had to like make sure I'm putting this back in the right spot so I don't fuck this up. And right, the one thing I really, really wish I would have filmed is the first one I put on, I had it way too hot. So this plastic, whatever, like melted to the iron. You can still see a little bit of it on there. Yeah. Oh well. I'll scrape that off later. But yeah, that's basically, oh right, my other excuse why I wanted to have this thing made like a week ago, and then I was gonna go do parkour as a beginner, because like I watch a lot of parkour, but I don't really do much parkour. I did a tiny little bit last summer, and then a tiny, tiny little bit like 10 years ago. So a lot of people say that one of the biggest barriers to parkour becoming a massive thing is it needs to have people that like watching it but have no interest in doing it, the same way you do with every other sport. Football, there are absurd amounts of people that like watching football but have no interest in doing it at all themselves, even just as a hobby or anything. And I feel like parkour absolutely could have that, because I'm living proof of that. I spent the last 10 years watching, well, except for that gap where I kind of forgot about it for a while and was real sad about that. But like, I'm living proof that I love watching it, but I don't really do it. I want to do it, but I don't. Well, I want to. Man, this video is like, again, nowhere near what I wanted it to be, but I'd rather it be this than not be. So, I think absolutely parkour is capable of continuing to improve and have a place in the world. And I feel like I've said everything I wanted to say in today's video. And so I'm just going to, what time is it? I've got like 5 minutes before I have to get ready for work. So, I'm just going to put this on. And let's see, I've already made this little crease in the hat, so I know exactly where that goes, and then I've made a crease in this to center it, and you're just going to get a little close-up shots. Well, actually, not really, because, oh, also, this is another representation of how, like, how unprepared I was. I just kind of went at it. It was like, I don't know, let's just give it a try, and then immediately after I tried it, I'm like, gosh dang it, why am I not filming this? But yeah, the fact that I didn't prepare at all, I just kind of went at it. I didn't clean my desk off at all. I'm not even doing this on my table. I'm doing this on my whiteboard, which means all my notes for my other projects have been erased. Like an idiot. Anyways, let's put this sticker on, and then I gotta get to work. I've got, what, like 4 minutes now? Yep, something like that. Okay. The method I discovered that seems to be working the best, actually, is just separating it out and doing it one letter at a time. But specifically on like this part where it curves, that's where doing this one letter at a time is actually working better than doing the whole thing. So here we go with the first one. There we go. Just kind of hold that on there for a little while. Oh, right. Here's the melted bits. Come on, autofocus. It's focusing on my beard. All right, I should focus on this. So I don't want to leave it on there too long. See, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I think I am. Like, I think it's working. Ah, it's sticking to my finger. Sure. Anyway, store. Get your fucking hats back in stock. Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. You can bet this will definitely be what I'm wearing in every parkour vlog I make from now on, because I definitely actually intend on like going outside, finding locations, and practicing parkour and actually doing it and documenting that process of what it's like to be an absolute beginner at something that I've been obsessed with for close to half my life. What it's like to be an absolute beginner in something that I feel like I know a lot about it, but I know once I start actually doing it, I'll realize how little I really know. Perfect example of that I just remembered another thing I wanted to mention in this video is that parkour is all location based. That's really the thing that has been my biggest barrier to doing parkour is I'm in a tiny town. There's really nowhere to go or nowhere to do it. But that can, you know, limitations are, how does that go? I can't remember the quote or who it'd be from, but the general gist is that like limitations force you to be more creative, to figure it out. Like when people get injuries in parkour and they can't do certain types of moves, certain types of movements, they're kind of forced to figure out new movements and adapt because, you know, we don't want to just take a break. Why would I do that? Got to keep training because it's fun. This is also hot. But yeah, that's really the thing that struck me the most when I discovered Storer. Was the style of their videos was completely different than what I used to watch 8 years ago. You know, I used to watch the compilations, like the Stunts Amazing channel and like, I don't know, just epic parkour wins compilations and whatever, stuff like that. And Storer was a breath of fresh air. It was a completely different perspective. It was showing what it's actually like to make those videos behind the scenes, what the process of what it was kind of like going to a skate park and you're just chilling out with your friends and having a good time. And they would do that, but at different locations. See, if you're going to go skateboarding, you can go around town or you can go to the skate park. Now, there aren't really parkour parks. I mean, there are some, but not many good ones. But yeah, that's the thing that I just never understood or basically had any concept of like 8 years ago was the idea that you have to go look for locations. You have to go find cool spots. And I'm excited to do that. But also I gotta like find time / make time to do that. That's not easy. And it's probably going to cost a lot of time, maybe gas money, or at least I need to get a new bicycle. That's what I really need to do. My bike is not worth fixing. It's bad. But I mean, even then, that gives me very limited options. I'm in a small town. There's nowhere to go within this. There's a couple spots, and that's probably where I'll go first. But really, I need to go to like Green Bay, which is as in Green Bay Packers, it's the closest larger town. I am in Sturgeon Bay, tiny, tiny little town, 10,000 people, and 5 parkour spots at most, and that's being generous. All right. How much time do I have? -2 minutes. But it's fine. I give myself a lot of extra time. So technically, I've got like 3 minutes till I really got to get going. But I just really wanted to finish this one, and then like the rest of these I'll put on later. Right, the backwards ones, I think I mentioned this, are on the back side of the hat. I've even got one like in there on the inside. Oh gosh, I wasn't paying attention. I slipped off the tee entirely. I mean, I think this is working. I don't really know. I'm still mildly paranoid that I'm doing this all wrong and it's all just gonna flake off. I don't know. Oh well, if it does, let's make another one. Right! Can't believe I almost forgot this. Massive shout out to my coworker Krista for making this possible. She created all of these with her cricket machine. Yeah, thank you, Krista. She was gonna film the machine in process of like cutting these out, but I forget what the reasoning was, but that didn't happen, or the video didn't work, or I don't know, whatever. But that's fine. But hey, if all these flake off and I need to redo the whole thing, then so be it. All right. And also my battery's at 5%, so I gotta go. Thanks for watching. Happy birthday, David Bell.